Hey, everybody. Really excited to speak with Gabe today, who just broke into Deal. Awesome background. I know you've done quite a few things, which I think enhanced your experience breaking back into sales and tech sales. Maybe just to set the stage, share a little bit about your background and what got you looking at tech sales in the first place.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, started in sales when I graduated college. First job was Yelp. Um, Worked there for about a year, and then switched from that to managing a tech support team for um, this company that was contracted out by different other companies. So we were contracted out by Spotify. I ran that team for a couple years, like 4 years and some change. Um, Got the opportunity to move to Oklahoma through the Tulsa Remote program, which is basically this relocation program that pays people like 10 grand to move to Oklahoma. And I mean, 10 grand's not that bad. So moved to Oklahoma, worked different jobs out here, and then ultimately kind of landed back selling RVs, which that was fun. But that really kind of got that kind of brought back that itch of wanting to get back into sales, man. It was one of the cool things about RVs is that a lot of people look at them as just like vacations, like something to use to be able to go and take on a vacation, but people live in these things, man. So it's you talk to people and you start realizing this isn't necessarily just like what's your next destination. Sometimes it's hey, this is your next home, and being able to level with anybody, understand what their problems are, and being able to connect those dots with it was something that I honestly really enjoyed doing. And it just made me say, hey, like let's go to the next level. Let's get to the next spot with this. So that, and also like wanting to get out of Oklahoma, ultimately led to me hunting for trying to get some direction and shake off the rust that I had, and brought me to higher levels, which ultimately helped me get with Deal.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. What a great story. I'm sure those experiences obviously served you well. And that's kind of where my next question is as well. Like you have kind of tech and separately, maybe less tech sales per se, but sales and tech experience. With that, obviously, you've got a great personality as well. What still went into that decision to say, hey, it is worth investing in training versus going about it on your own?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things for me was that I'd never worked at a dealership before. And so I was like looking into just training, right? Looking into different, trainers online, and kind of trying to figure out like different tactics people use. And I actually landed on one of your guys' videos, basically talking about, getting into the tech space, the tech sales space. And I had watched a couple of your guys' videos, but didn't necessarily pull the trigger. And then unironically, it was there was one day in particular where like a bunch of my deals that I had just fell through, and I was like, you know what? No, it's time. Like I need to I need to do something different. I need to get back into what I know best. And so as I was like scrolling through LinkedIn and realizing that the game kind of changed, right? Because when I was at Yelp, it was 2017. So like between then and now, like the way sales works now is just completely different. It's less kind of hardball tactics, and it focuses more on like those permission based openers, right? It focuses on not kind of that in your face, like, don't you want 15 more customers every single day? It focuses more on like, hey, are you guys seeing these same sort of issues? Are you guys facing these same sort of challenges? And I knew that I would need to shake off the rust that I had gained, over the 7-8 years of not being in sales. So, I had kept getting your guys' videos recommended. I kept agreeing with what you guys were saying. And everything you guys were saying was clicking in my head. So I said, you know what? If I'm going to spend $700, I'm going to spend it with people that I actually think know what they're talking about. And that's you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Obviously, great to see the result. Excited that it worked out for you. On that note, too, when you were looking, whether it was for training for RV sales or past careers, were you looking at other programs at all, or was it pretty clear that higher levels was going to be the choice for you?
I had I had looked at, I think Course Careers has one, and I looked at some of the LinkedIn stuff, but I, you know, I had like thought about doing programming for a little bit, and so I picked up some Udemy courses and stuff like that. And like I kind of wanted to go with like a platform that was dedicated for this, like something that was this is what we do, and this is what we do well, rather than like this giant library of different things. If I'm given too many choices, I'm going to pick way too many options. I wanted to hyper focus on what I wanted and what I wanted to get into from there.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I love that. That's definitely resonates with our approach and Chris and I's strategy, even just building higher levels. So that's awesome. I'd love to pick your brain, and this isn't necessarily from your experience, but this is a common trend that I see. You have a couple of different jobs. You've tried a lot of things, which I think is extremely beneficial. And I think oftentimes people underrate what an advantage that can be. But maybe as we look at how you got interviews, I know you've had several interviews with several companies. How, was it even a concern that you had tried a bunch of things? How did you take all that experience and even get noticed to get interviews in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, it started with following the lesson that you guys had said. Shoot, let me pull up my workbook, man. I kept my interview workbook up religiously. And that was kind of like my bread and butter throughout all of it. I wasn't necessarily too worried on like just like the different aspects of it, because I knew if I just focus and hyper focus on what I need to get done, it'll happen, So like literally every day I was at least trying to add something to my workbook, right? Like either that's a new company, a new job description, the hiring managers, their contact info, actually reaching out to them, reassessing my messaging that I'd be sending out, going over my interview questions, etc. I tried to stay focused on that because to kind of add to the plate that I have, I work two jobs. So I work there, and then I also work at a bar on weekends, and it's it's a lot, man. It's a lot. So it was one of those things where I also knew like how to eat an elephant piece by piece.
Yeah. No, I'd love to hear that. And, maybe a couple questions here on the interview process as a whole, whether it's, technical presentations or some of these mid-round interviews, were those intense for you, challenging? What are things that you learned along the way throughout all of those?
The first one definitely was terrifying. But you guys have a lot of resources. Like for example, when I had the cold calling exercise. Little nervous. I definitely was a little bit nervous, but I actually used the cold calling simulator, the AI chat that you guys had made, and like
Nice.
me and that thing were having full on fights, man. Like, because you know what I mean? Because like I was ready, like I wanted it, like I figured, hey, I don't have to be perfect, but I can't sound scared. You know what I mean? I can't sound like unprepared is one thing, nervous even another, but to not have a plan, not have a game plan and know which way you can attack, understand even just the basic objections that are going to get thrown at you. Hey, just send it to me in an email. I'm not the person that handles this. We don't have a budget for it. You don't have to win those objections when you're on that cold call with them, that cold call practice, but you have to be able to attack them. You have to be able to give something, like fight back with it just a little bit. And I think that's what makes the difference in those situations. So definitely that first one, bad. But as I kept preparing, as I kept learning, as I kept practicing, the nerves were still there, but it was more of, preparation. It was like the prepared nerves. Like, I know I got this. I'm just nervous about what kind of curveball I might get.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And as you know, I think that's such a key to the experience. Is like we've never been of the stance that like, hey, here's videos, here you go. Like you have to get out there, you have to get in interviews, and quite frankly, like it sounds like obviously one, you got an incredible result working at a great company, but two, it's like sometimes those failures set you up. Then as you improve and sharpen things, now you're starting to get interviews with like A-tier companies like yourself, and that now you're ready to absolutely crush it. So yeah, love to see that.
No, 100%. And to kind of piggyback off of that, one of the biggest learning lessons I had throughout all of it was understanding what the phrase "get your reps in" means, right? Because like definitely like at the start, I watched the videos and didn't necessarily put a lot of action into it, which, you know, my journey was definitely longer than it should have been. But, you know, there's a lot of factors into it, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, it goes back to the fact that I didn't necessarily put those reps in. And I think anybody that's watching this and, you know, is kind of in the same position that I was, were like, hey, this might be taking longer than expected. Or, you know, you see those guys in there that post like, hey, it took me, you know, 45 minutes and I have a job or something like that.
Yeah.
Understand that, like, understand the level of effort, right? Are you putting in that level of effort to be able to have that same success? If you're not, then you can't be mad at them. You know, you can't say XYZ, because until you're making those cold calls, you're sending those emails, you're sending those LinkedIn messages, you're revising your resume, you're in those group meetings that we have on resumes, you know, until you're in those and you're sitting there working through, you're wrestling through, you're saying to yourself, you know, man, I hate my resume, and you've edited it 24 times. You know what I mean? It's, you don't have the weight behind what you're saying isn't there.
Yeah, 100%, man. No, I'd love to hear that. Maybe a closing question or two. I'm just curious. You have an awesome background, eclectic experiences that obviously have parlayed into a great job. Leave it wide open, but any advice to call it your younger self, or maybe someone who's hesitating or not sure if this is the path for them?
Yeah, man. Starting with my younger self, invest in Bitcoin. But honestly, man, I would say, dude, you got two choices in the front of you. You can either deal with the like you can either continue where you're at and be comfortable, right? And hope that it lands in your lap, which, you know, hey, does it happen? Sure. But you're going to keep waiting. You're going to keep waiting for that moment. You're going to keep waiting for the opportunity. Or you can say, screw it. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no. They're not going to answer. They're going to hang up. Boo-hoo. But you know what? You're one step closer than you were the day before. So be uncomfortable. Accept that uncomfort and push forward, because that's the only way you're going to make something happen.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. I think unless there's anything else, I think that's a great place to end. Obviously, Gabe, super excited for you. And yeah, I think so many great gems here too for anyone watching that's, you know, maybe struggling or just needs that extra boost to get over the edge. But thanks. This was awesome. And again, if there's anything else, feel free. But really appreciate the time.
No, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, I'm going to be definitely picking up that SDR accelerator course. Yeah, I'm a fanboy, man. I'm a fanboy.
I appreciate it.